Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and we have an interesting battle for you today. This one was sent to me yesterday by Sir Pingalot here, the artist formerly known as Flambass. I think this is one of his alt accounts. It's a tier 10 domination battle on the Haven map. It's been a very long time since I featured one of Flambass's replays, because I seem to get an awful lot of stick in the comments section every time I do. Apparently, according to YouTube comment section logic, if I feature one Flambass replay a year, I'm some kind of sellout who only ever features replays sent in by his famous internet friends. Yeah. Anyway, tier 10 domination battle on the Haven map. Flambass, although he's going by the name Sir Pingalot here, is in the premium tier 9 American battleship, the USS Georgia, which, for those of you who don't know by now, is basically a tier 9 version of the USS Iowa, which is also a tier 9, except when the Iowa is armed with 9 16-inch guns, the Georgia is armed with 6 18-inch guns. Same turret configuration, 3 turrets, 2 up front, 1 to the rear, but in this case each of those turrets is armed with a pair of 18-inch guns. There are more differences than that, of course. The Georgia has some very good secondaries. I mean, I say they're very good, they're not bad. They're not quite USS Massachusetts standard, but she's got a lot of them. 5 double turrets each side of the ship. It's kind of like going into battle with a USS gearing strapped to each side of the ship. And the range isn't bad. 7.5 kilometers before you start tinkering with it, although I wouldn't recommend that you invest a secondary spec into this ship, because they are just 127mm guns. Even if you were to take the IFHE skill, they still wouldn't be much use against battleships, and they'd set way less fires. They're nice to have against destroyers that get too close, and against cruisers and battleships you probably want to keep them for their fire starting potential. So a secondary build and an IFHE build definitely not recommended on this ship. Aside from the 18-inch guns and the secondary gun batteries, the other major difference between the Georgia and the Iowa is that the Georgia has access to the engine boost consumable, which, when active, will boost this ship's already impressive speed of 33 knots up to 38 knots. Ooh, shots out against the Des Moines. That's not bad, actually. There's only 6 guns firing and 3 penetrations, so a decent amount of damage to start, 14,500 against the Des Moines. But yes, 38 knots top speed with the engine boost running. This ship will outrun a lot of the destroyers that it's going to face. The repair part you consume... Oh dear. Really, Des Moines? You just got bitch slapped on the way into cover, made it, and now you're reversing out? I guarantee this is going to hurt you a lot more than it's going to hurt Flambass. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, he totally deserved that. But yes, the repair party consumable on this ship is also an improved version with a much faster cooldown. In fact, it's safe to say that the Georgia is basically a gimmick boat version of the Iowa. Instead of 16-inch guns, it has 18-inch guns. It has an engine boost, which is unusual in a battleship that isn't French. And it's an improved engine boost as well, boosting the speed up to 38 knots. It has an enhanced repair party consumable. It has very accurate long-range secondaries. It's an Iowa with a whole bunch of gimmicks, but that doesn't mean it's a bad ship. In fact, it's a pretty good ship, although its DPM is pretty bad. You don't want to be getting into any extended duels with other ships, because unless you can smack the bejesus out of them by scoring citadels with the 18-inch armor piercing, like that. Oh, secondaries opening up on an enemy destroyer that was momentarily spotted off there on the port side. When you're in the Georgia, you're always best trying to put yourself into positions where you can take advantage of the phenomenal amount of damage that these 18-inch armor-piercing shells are going to do to an enemy ship's broadside. They're the second hardest hitting armor-piercing shells in the game, after the Shikishima's 20-inch armor-piercing shells. The issue is, she only fires 6 of them. So all of you battleships that are armed with only 6 main battery guns, yep, knives and nails, raise your hand, yep. Georgia feels your pain. If you fire and miss, or if you fire, hit and fail to penetrate, and you only have 6 guns, it kind of hurts you more than if you were in another ship with smaller caliber but more numerous guns. You can see Flambass breaking off here from a very angry smoke screen down to the south that appears to contain an enemy Kuchizov, and that's exactly the kind of DPM trade fight that you do not want to be getting into in the Georgia. It just does not have the damage per minute to win that kind of fight. Plus there was an enemy destroyer out there, so that side of the island is likely to be flooded with lots and lots of torpedoes sooner rather than later. You do not want to be getting into trades with other ships, particularly if you can't even trade with them because they're inside smoke screens and you can't see them in the first place. Instead, keep looking for the opportunities to bitch slap the broadsides of unsuspecting enemy ships with these 18-inch guns, and the speed of the Georgia will help you to take advantage of those kind of positions, or get into those kind of positions like this, which is exactly what he's doing. Coming around the other side of the island, putting himself into a position where he's got a choice of broadsides to shoot at, and when one of them's a Grosser Kurfürst and one of them's an Ohio, which is basically a tier 10 version of this very ship, yep, the Ohio was lucky to survive. Although he's probably not going to survive for much longer. Is he going to eat a torpedo from the Yugomo? Yes, he is. And quick look ahead, smoke screen's still there. Kuchizov, yep, still shooting from the smoke screen. Now, you shouldn't be expecting citadels here. Broadside shot at a Grosser Kurfürst, turtleback armour, close range, turtleback most effective at this kind of ranges, but 6,000 damage? I mean, I wasn't expecting any citadels, but how do you hit the broadside of a Grosser Kurfürst belt armour at that kind of range and get 2 over penetrations? World of Warships logic. Kuchizov is definitely still there. That's a mistake. The Kuchizov should have disengaged and run long before this, take advantage of the extreme range of his large number of 152mm guns. At the same time, Flambass doesn't want to get any closer, because that island is protecting him from the Kuchizov's short-range torpedoes. What is his division mate and the Sovietsky Soyuz doing? They're all focusing the Kuchizov instead of shooting at the Grosser Kurfürst. And the drive-by of the Grosser Kurfürst, well, I don't know, maybe he thought he could get around behind him fast enough to outrun the turret traverse, but if that's what he was hoping, it didn't work. Still, they took out a Kuchizov. I'm not sure that's a great trade, a tier 8 cruiser for a tier 9 battleship. And the Grosser Kurfürst is still not dying. He's running his hydro. And Flambass, well, he's not exactly caught in the crossfire because the Grosser Kurfürst isn't shooting at him, but he's busy getting farmed as the Grosser Kurfürst finally goes down by everybody over there on the starboard side. And there's still something shooting from a smoke screen. Armour pit, is that a Minotaur? I think that must be a Minotaur. This is not actually a great situation for Flambass to be in. I mean, at the moment the Minotaur's still shooting at teammates over to the port side, but I'm pretty sure that before too long they're going to go undetected because the Minotaur isn't doing its own spotting, which means Flambass is going to be the only available target for that guy to shoot at. He's watching the smoke screen. Oh, there he is. The Minotaur has very wisely decided it's time to get the hell out of here, but again, you see, this is the issue. These 18-inch AP shells have great penetration. A bit too much penetration when it comes to a lightly armoured target like the Minotaur. And once again, he's now in a DPM fight with a ship that has vastly higher DPM than him. So he needs to get out of here. There's an Odin over there. That's a much, much better target for these 18-inch guns, but at the same time he wants to try to arrange to be in the position where he's only fighting the Odin. He doesn't want to be getting shot at by the Minotaur, and he doesn't want to be getting shot at by the Riga and the Des Moines over to the west. Luckily, there's another island up ahead that he can use to shelter behind as he works over the Odin with the 18-inch guns and sets fire with the secondaries. Come on. Come on. Keep himself angled against the Odin's guns, which are very low caliber for a tier 8 battleship. Just managed to get a couple of shots out over the edge of the island there. Only the rear turret cleared it, the front turrets were occluded, and nothing. There's the Minotaur. Oh, this is not good. He's in range of the Odin's secondaries, but, well, shortly they're not going to be able to fire, and this is the nightmare situation here. The Minotaur just took a hit. And, nope, now he's smoking up. The Minotaur's on extremely low health. He's disappeared. He fires the front turrets anyway, and gets an extremely lucky citadel which is also an extremely unlucky citadel because despite the Minotaur's low health, it was not enough to kill him. Odin torpedoes, and this could have been payday for the Odin. Getting torpedo hits on 2 separate ships, but they just ran out of range, so both of them got away with it. But now he's engaged in a DPM duel with a Minotaur that he can't see, and the George's DPM is bad. But surely, with the amount of damage that the Minotaur's taken, one more hit, and it's going to be a lucky hit. Oh, and it wasn't enough. I mean, there's the high caliber award. The Minotaur must have activated his heal. But he's just farming damage on Flambass here. And he's been extremely lucky with the 2 hits that he scored. Just not lucky enough. He needs to go undetected, or he's not going to survive this. And he has the opportunity here to do exactly that, but the Minotaur keeps teasing him with the shell tracer, so he has another go. Is this going to be it? And it's not. He missed completely. And of course, now the Minotaur is farming him again. He's trying to keep angled against him. And his superstructure is probably saturated now, which is probably the only thing keeping him alive. But that Minotaur needs to die. Minotaur torpedo spotted. The friendly Grosser Kerr first popped his hydro after spotting the Odin's torpedoes, which was lucky. It means that Flambass should be able to avoid the Minotaur torpedoes. And somebody has finally taken the Minotaur out. Okay. He's got a heal running. He's not actively being shot at the moment. He's got time to let that heal work its magic and figure out what to do next. So the enemy team have 2 caps, Flambass's team have 1. There's an Azure Lane Yukikaze flipping capture point A up to the northwest, but it looks like he's within radar range of a Des Moines. So, yep, he's been hit, he's been reset. He's probably going to die. Got a Des Moines radared him and shooting at him, and a Yugamo in close pursuit, keeping him lit up when the radar expires, so we can probably kiss that Yukikaze goodbye. Flambass's secondaries are shooting at the Yugamo, however, and scoring a couple of hits, but, well, it's very long range, even for these very accurate secondaries, so we shouldn't expect any miracles. It's going to be a miracle if that Yukikaze survives. He's not dead yet, though, as Flambass's secondaries continue to fire, although ineffectually, at the enemy Yugamo. Shots out of the Sovietsky Soyuz, although the angle isn't good, so we shouldn't expect any miracles. No. Would have been nice if we could have knocked out any of his gun turrets. Got the enemy shots. I think those came from the Odin. Now, if that Sovietsky Soyuz would be nice and open that angle up a bit so he can pump his broadside full of armor piercing, that would be fantastic. But he doesn't appear to be complying, so not aiming for the armor belt. Trying to rake the upper deck and maybe knock out some of those gun turrets. And nope. Keeping an eye on the Des Moines, of course, who at the moment appears to be outside a shooting range, so isn't an immediate threat and is getting handled by the rest of Flambass's teammates. Now there's an Odin over there somewhere as well. And let's not forget the Odin has torpedoes. Actually, neither of those guys can shoot at Flambass for the moment, and he can shoot at the Des Moines. Flambass has 221,000 damage done so far, as he unloads 4 18-inch armor-piercing shells at the USS Des Moines. And that is his first kill of the game. 235,000 damage before he got his first kill. Those look like Yugamo torpedoes. Well, they missed. There's the Odin, and there's the Sovietsky Soyuz. So which target is giving him a broadside to shoot at? That would be, maybe? No, not worth the risk. Didn't look like he had enough traverse to catch him. Looked like the island was probably going to eat those shells. So it's going to have to be, wow, that Yugamo. Hooray for the engine boost, otherwise he would probably be dead now. Who's that shooting at him? Is that the Yugamo? It is the Yugamo. Cheeky little Japanese bastard. Well, the salvo on the Soyuz knocked out at least one of his gun turrets. And he is angled well against him. Secondary's opening up on the Yugamo. Can he finish this guy off? He is taking hits. But he's angled well. Come on. Please be a kill. It should be a kill. It is a kill. Okay, great. There's the Confederate award. 251,000 damage, and he's only just gotten his second kill. Now, the Odin just sneaked into cover behind that island. There's only the Odin and the Yugamo left. The Yugamo is up to the north and keeps flooding this area with torpedoes. He's now stopped shooting because Flambass is no longer occupied with the Sovietsky Soyuz, and he did manage to set a fire and force Flambass to use his damage control. which is really bad news as the Odin comes back around the corner, and Flambass does not kill him, which means that Flambass is probably going to die now, because the Odin has torpedoes. It also has lots and lots of secondaries, which are very, very probably going to start another fire, and Flambass just does not have the health to survive it. There's the fire, but it's not the torpedoes. It's not even the fire set by the Odin's secondaries, as that cheeky little Japanese bastard in the Yugumo who finished him off with his guns. Well, he's managed to go undetected again as the Venezia peppers the island that he's ducked into cover behind with some semi-armour piercing. The Odin, however, well, I don't know, did he get torpedoes away? We can't really tell because dead ships tell no tales. It doesn't really matter, of course, because he's got torpedo launchers on the other side, a fact of which the Ibuki appears to be aware because he's running his hydro. And it's the Ibuki's hydro that picks up the next torpedo spread launched by the Yugumo, who's undetected up there to the north somewhere. Now, yep, there's the Odin's torpedoes. Now, the Odin is about to die. He's not surviving this. He's launched the torpedoes in a last desperate act. And to be fair to the Ibuki here, that is quite a narrow spread. He saw they were coming. He does his best to try to avoid them all, nearly gets away with it, only eats one. But now that Flambass is dead, he has 3 surviving teammates, this Ibuki, a Venezia, and a Petropavlovsk, against 1 Yugumo. And this is where things start to get a little... what's the right word to use? Let's be diplomatic and say this is where things start to get interesting. So Flambass's team hold 2 of the caps. They're busy flipping this one, which means the enemy Yugumo only holds the alpha cap up to the north. The Petropavlovsk is using his radar. The Yugumo has been spotted, and the Ibuki's hydro, which is still running, clearly spots the torpedoes coming a country mile away. And the Ibuki captain, and we did give him credit just now for only being hit by one of the Odin's torpedoes, but this is what I can only describe as a sudden and inexplicable rush of shit to the brain. The torpedoes were spotted 2 kilometers away. There were gaps between them that you could have slid a sideways on gearing into without taking any hits, and somehow he still managed to beat the torpedo. And that Yugumo is busy firing torpedoes, which again have been spotted way in advance, this time at the Petropavlovsk. And again, torpedoes spotted from at least 2 kilometers away. There's a gap there. You could comfortably fit a grosser Kurfürst in, and somehow the Petropavlovsk, like the Ibuki before him, still manages to eat one of the torpedoes. I guess it must be Pokemon Day. Got to catch them all. Now, those semi-armor piercing shots from the Venezia. The Venezia is basically just popping salvos off around the corner of whichever island he thinks the Yugumo is hiding behind. Now, he didn't say anything. He didn't say to the Petropavlovsk, the Yugumo's over there, go and check him out. But the Petropavlovsk appears to be taking that for granted, because he's heading in that direction, which is where the Venezia was shooting. So remember, the Venezia didn't say, he's behind the corner of that island, go and check it out. Because he's definitely not behind the corner of that island, as you can tell by all of these torpedoes, which again were spotted miles in advance, as the Petropavlovsk does absolutely nothing, in fact starts turning away, guaranteeing that all 3 are going to hit him. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny. But what's funnier is what happens in chat after the Yugumo successfully torpedoes and kills the Petropavlovsk. The Petropavlovsk starts blaming the Venezia. Like it's his fault. The Venezia is still popping salvos around the corner of random islands and appears to be completely bemused as to why the Petropavlovsk would be taking his rage out on him. I mean, the Yugumo's the one that sank you. Nobody told you to head around that corner of the island. The Yugumo is still unspotted. The Venezia is still just firing random semi-armor piercing salvos around the corners of suspicious-looking islands. When suddenly, and with no warning whatsoever, boom, plot twist, dead Yugumo. My heart goes out to that Yugumo player. He played a great game. And depending on his torpedo reload, he could have won it. I mean, he didn't have a lot of time left. There was only about a minute and a half. But 1 torpedo would have finished off the Ibuki, and if he had another reload ready to go, he could have easily finished off the Venezia, which doesn't even have hydro and wouldn't have seen the torpedoes coming. Not that having the advantage of seeing the torpedoes coming from miles away appears to have been of much benefit to the rest of his teammates, but hey, what are you going to do? But the poor Yugumo played his heart out, very nearly did it, and then got taken out at the last moment by dumb luck. Or was it dumb luck? Because the Venezia was the second highest scoring player on the team as well, You know, he did okay too. And if you don't know where the Yugamo is, but you suspect that he's going to be lying in ambush around the corner of islands, taking random shots, when you've got nothing better to shoot at anyway, around the corners of those islands, is that luck or is that good judgment? Let me know what you think. I'm sure there are going to be plenty of different opinions on the subject, but that's it for today. Hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.